Okay, so I'm here with Kayden Larsen, who I met when I was a music camp counselor at BYU a few years ago, and now Kayden is a pianist and he is doing amazing things. And I'm going to shut up, stop talking, and let him. Where are you at right now, Kayden? What are you doing?
So I'm sitting here in Bloomington, Indiana, far away from home, from Utah, but I'm starting my master's degree here at the Jacobs School of Music at Indiana University, um, and it's great so far. I've been here for about a month and a half, and I'm studying with Norman Krieger, who's a fantastic pianist and teacher. Um,
And Bloomington, if you guys don't know, is one of the is in the top three, four, five music schools in the country with because of their scholarship program, and they turn out. Anyway, it's a huge deal, huge honor to be accepted into the school. So Kayden is modest, and he won't say that, but it's true, and it's because he's a great pianist. So sorry, Kayden, keep going.
Thanks. Well, it's true. It's been a huge shift because I did my bachelor's of music at Brigham Young University, and the program here is a lot bigger in terms of just number of students and number of um, different connections and things. And so it's been a shift, but a good one. It's been interesting to go from feeling kind of like a bigger fish in a smaller pond to a very small fish in an ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Cool. And I'm kind of interviewing Kayden today because he has we both studied with the same teacher at BYU, and I heard a lot about him from my teacher when he was growing up in high school. And he just has a really great and unique story about how he started. So now that we know what you're doing now, that we know you're a successful pianist as an adult, let's backtrack way many years and tell me how you started playing piano.
Okay, so a lot of people start playing when they're young. It's just kind of a thing that happens. Sometimes people don't start till they're older. But I started at about age three, 3 and 4, because when I was 2, I was diagnosed with polyarticular juvenile rheumatoid arthritis in my hands and feet. And so what happens is it's a genetic thing. It's not the other kind of arthritis that you might get when you're older. It's kids when they're very young. And my hands were basically crippled and cramped up like this, and I couldn't move my fingers, and there were times I couldn't really walk. And of course, that's very alarming for any parent, especially for my parents who, I mean, I was my mom's first child, and I can't imagine what she was going through, waking up and suddenly her son is not able to move his hands anymore. And so there was a lot of medical procedures and therapy and things like that. Um, they tried everything, of course. And eventually, I mean, they were able to get my hands kind of flexible and moving and stuff. And the rheumatologist just told my parents, hey, you need to do anything you can to keep his hands active so that he can use them for the rest of his life. And so they tried things like having me do finger painting, play with Play-Doh, whatever it could be. And my mom had been, she plays the piano as well. And she and my dad are both musically inclined, I guess. It wasn't their profession or anything, but they decided, hey, well, let's get him doing piano lessons. And so they introduced me to that, and I started taking lessons. And, at the time, I don't know what I thought about it. It was a thing I did, and it was fun to kind of make noise, make music and stuff, and learn about the piano. Like, oh, there are 2 black notes, and then 3 black notes, and 2 black notes, 3 black notes. And just go on, and I kept practicing and kept working at it. And over time, it actually helped to put my arthritis into remission. So my hands, like over the years, stopped having all this inflammation, stopped having all of this pain and everything. And the more active I stayed, the more it kind of just kept my joints working in a way that was healthy. And yeah, so by the time I was, 6, 7, 8, The arthritis was pretty much in remission. I would have flare-ups from time to time, but like over time, it's just been a improvement from there. And by the time I was 10, it was practically permanently in remission. Um, and I still have to take medication for that today. You know, I still have to deal with that sometimes. If the weather gets too cold or whatever, my hands get stiff and hurt a lot. But um, so, but when you're that age, you don't really always think about it too much. Like, oh, I think I'll do this for the rest of my life. It was just something that I did and something that I knew when I worked at it, I was, you know, I had success and I did well. And then I think I was about 11 or 12 when my teacher encouraged me to do a competition, just a small local competition. And I came away with a win from that, and that was exciting. And so I just kept working harder and harder. And then around the time that I met you, Brian, is when I was trying to start figuring out how I felt about music in general. I went to that BYU music
Yeah.
camp and
You were
really just
16? 16?
what?
You were about 16?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe no, I was younger when I first went because it was right after seventh grade, so I was about 14, I think.
Okay. Got you.
Maybe I met you a year later or so, but it was there that I really felt like um, I felt at home. Like it was like, oh, these are my people. You know, really exciting times with fellow musicians and people who understood how hard it is to become that proficient at an instrument and how much work it takes, but how rewarding it is at the same time. So, and then that's where I also met Dr. Holden for the first time, my teacher who I later studied with at BYU. And I started taking lessons with him the following summer, and that was in 2008. So then I studied with him all through 2018.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a good ride.
Wow. So did you ever have a moment where you're like, I guess you're saying that it was 14, 15 when you decided you wanted to do music, when you were like, okay, I want to go to school here and do music,
Yeah,
or was it more just kind of like it just kind of happened, kind of felt right?
it was still gradual. It was around that time that I decided I wanted to pursue it more seriously and put more effort into it. You know, start practicing more, do more competitions, um, study with a college professor. And then in uh, 10th grade, I decided to put on a recital. And then I did the same thing in 11th grade and 12th grade and did all those for different things. And then I did, you know, music Sterling Scholar. And in 11th grade, Dr. Holden, you know, suggested like, why don't you prepare to audition to major in music here? Like, why not go for it? You've got the skill, you could do it. And so I said, okay. And my thought was, I'll try it. If I get in, I'll try it for a little bit. And if I don't, then I guess I'll do something else. So I only auditioned for the music program at BYU. And that's not always the case. A lot of music students, they'll audition at, you know, multiple schools, but I only did it for BYU thinking if I don't get it here, like I would want to keep studying with Dr. Holden. And I got in with a decent scholarship, and I worked really hard my first year. And then I left on a mission. And I had known during my freshman year, like, okay, I really feel comfortable with this. I like it. I feel like I could do this. But then during my mission, as I thought about it more, it just started to sink in more and more like, yeah, this feels like a good thing. This feels like what I need to be doing. So I came home and jumped back into it. And yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So, and I'm sure this is like a question that we're all thinking, but you ever just go, you ever think like, is that why I had juvenile arthritis? Like, because God was nudging me in this direction, or are you just, are you just grateful that you did, or I don't know. Do you ever think about like how it all started in terms of that, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I have thought about that a lot. And I can't say. There were other things that came about from having the arthritis too. I mean, it gave me a lot of time as a kid to do a lot of reading and things like that. So I felt like that helped me when I got into school. But um, I whatever the reason is that I had it, I'm grateful for it, because without that challenge early in life, without all of the trials and frankly the suffering of going through that, and I know a lot of kids have it a lot worse. A lot of people get hit with worse things than arthritis in their joints, but without that, I definitely would not be here where I am today. I wouldn't have started piano lessons so young. I would have started it later. Um, I wouldn't have had the same motivation to keep working at it. And so it's really been an interesting perspective to look back and think, like, wow, because of that challenge and my parents' ability to kind of, think outside of the box, perhaps, and to do something that seems counterintuitive, because of all of that and just going through that process, it ended up becoming a huge blessing, not just for me, but hopefully for other people too, as I perform and teach and everything.
Yeah, as you like influence lives. All right, Kayden. Hey, thank you. That was wonderful. Really insightful for me and for all of us listening, and we appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.
Thanks.